you because I gotta go support my friend's business opening.
Okay, I would say I would do that, Junior, and then let's tackle this. The fucking. Let's spend the next 20 minutes doing the what is it called? The umbrella legislation.
There's three umbrella votes for all and legislative proposal. Umbrella.
Let's start with the vote. The vote one's the most important.
Easy. No, it's easy too.
Throw up a copy of it. Oh, you got it?
It's
Good.
in the MDT. Yeah. And all you really need to look at is details.
Votes for all. I don't like the title. It should be voting regulations. Los Santos.
Well, San Andreas voting
San Andreas voting regulations. Yep. Do you want to do the live edits there, Michael?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Okay. During the October 2024 mayoral election, jurisdictional separation was enforced by the San Andreas Department of Justice with no defined constitutional authority to do so. This legislation is being put forward to the democratic process to put the constitutionally protected rights of citizens to vote back into citizens' rights. While municipal and jurisdictional distinctions are enshrined in our Constitution, each and every one of our citizens is a citizen of the state of San Andreas and thus entitled to vote statewide. Beautiful. You saw exactly what I did. While the Department of Justice is tasked with the clerical task, that's a double usage of the word, is tasked with the clerical process, with the clerical mechanism of voting.
Clerical duty of being the mechanism.
Mechanism of voting being administrated is not within their remit to restrict the voting power of the citizens for whom they perform the task. Every citizen should have the right to vote independently in each jurisdictional election. Their right to vote should not be curtailed by where they live or how they identify. Citizens are empowered to vote. I don't like that.
I just take it all out.
Well, hold on. Citizens are empowered to vote separately, but yeah. So I would rephrase this that while it is reasonable for citizens of Blaine County to vote in Blaine County, right? Such that their opinions, we can massage this better in a reproof. Such as their opinions are represented through their residential government, the lack of residency papers, a registry of residency, prevents the process from existing. The jerry-rigged attempt to solve this solution by limiting citizens from voting from one county or another has led to nothing, to a situation nothing short of gerrymandering. This legislation aims to resolve that until and if a registry, a solution, comes comes until fucking, until and if we get like a registry in place, the proper mechanisms in place. The DOJ shall be the mechanism to which the ballot measures votes, elections, referendums, or any other. I don't. Wait, is this actually straight copy and paste the legislative authority?
Yep.
Exact
Yeah,
word for word?
Yep.
Right to dignity.
Two seconds, sorry guys.
I think we should prevent. I think we should prevent someone from running for both.
Isn't that already prevented?
I think we.
Yeah, we can do that.
I think we should add it. Listen, I'm open to the idea of unification, but it's against the Constitution. No. No one individual may put themselves on both ballots or some shit. On both mayoral ballots. That needs to be worded better because some dumb fuck's gonna be. We need to be very explicit, like, because that could be like, well, you can't during a single in any given election. You get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
we have to unstupefy it. Okay, I think recook in the wording the introduction and purpose. Just so it's, we proofread that. No one individual can register or otherwise put themselves on. This needs to be written better. Or uninterpretedly. Look at what I put in there in brackets.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So, in other words, de-dumbify. Like, make it so no one can misinterpret it in any other way.
Yeah.
And do we believe that these three clauses are it? Do we need Article 1? A.
Kinda not. Like B is more a subclause of A than it is its own clause, to be honest with you.
I think B is clearer. A adds a restriction that goes against, because ideally this should happen. A should be happening, but we're putting B in. Restoring county-wide voter rights. So, philosophically, this reads like we're fixing it. Whereas I think the reading of the legislation should not be like, here's a patch. We're saying this is what it is now.
Yeah, okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So instead of henceforth,
so,
no citizen of San Andreas shall be denied, it's citizens of San Andreas are empowered to vote in all mayoral elections. Right? It's not a fix.
Yes.
This is how it goes. Yeah, I got you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll tweak the clauses.
All right. Any input on this, Serenade, Tony?
I'm in favor of the change of wording, but like the general structure of it, I agree with. I'm not able to see the live edits that you're doing.
Oh, okay. Every time there's a save, you look at it in report section?
I don't have access.
Oh, that's right.
The keys
that's right.
issue.
Yeah. So I'm just following off the exported version.
Love it. Oh, Article 2 implementation. Is that is that supposed to be Article 2?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Shouldn't even be a
Should be its own
section because
separate
all it says is effective immediately every time.
Yeah, true.
Right, it should just be like that.
Yep, agreed.
Sorry, I don't really have much to say besides, maybe it's a slight change of wording. I'm thinking the shoes of the other side of how they can misinterpret this.
That's exactly it. There should be no room for confusion of over interpretation. Citizens of San Andreas are empowered and entitled to vote in all mayoral elections. That's confusing, I think. Yeah, in all mayoral elections. I think B should be A.
Okay.
Yeah. When the Department of Justice administers the election process, they are to provide separate ballots for each jurisdictional election.
Should it be for each elected position? Like, really dumb it down so it's clear it's for SAMA, for the judges, for everything?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that.
I agree.
When the Department of Justice administers the election process, they are to provide separate ballots for each elected position. Hold on 1 second.
We're on each other. Go ahead.
Yep.
I was going to make B a subclause. Yeah.
Boom. Like clear as fuck, like stepwise.
Yeah.
Here's the
Yeah,
recipe. Provided these separate ballots will empower the citizens. Yes.
I think we just take out 3. The more I read it, the more I'm like, we don't need it. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Yeah.
No one individual can register or otherwise put themselves on multiple mayoral ballots during any given election. This needs to be in a given election. In a given election, one candidate may not enter into multiple ballots. No. I
mean, that's like as simple as I can write it.
I have a better idea.
Yep.
No one individual may enter into a ballot heading a legislative authority or something like that. May not enter into a ballot if they currently hold the position of no one individual may enter into a ballot. I hate that we have to think about like fucking people being dumb, right?
So sorry about that, guys.
Misinterpreting shit, like, because it can be so simple, but like I'm thinking like, oh, what if someone's like, oh, well, you're already the mayor, so you can't like, like you're currently the mayor, so you can't put yourself on the ballot. Registrants are restricted from registering for multiple ballots. For more than one elected position at a time. Okay, easy. Love it.
Enough,
That is
right?
perfect.
Yeah.
And then that's supposed to be B.
What's that? Sorry.
That's supposed to be B, not C.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I think as soon as you clean up introduction and purpose, I would say just give it one more read.
And then send me the princess.
Yes. And then let's try to send it today. She may not like B, but the fact of the matter is, I don't think constitutionally it makes any sense to run for both.
She won't agree with that. I'll be honest. Like, from what I've spoken, I think she wants to run for both.
Her and I talked about this, and I said I think she would already be restricted from doing that in the first place. I don't think the DOJ would allow that to happen because I think there is some rule in place that already exists, just not in legislation. This is just formalizing and codifying.
Yeah.
That.
The way to bring both counties together, and we can be a support of this, is a referendum, right?
Yeah.
And in and if we ever cross the road, that's where the senator shit comes from. You know what I mean? Where it would be an authority, you know, yeah. Okay, I think this is good to go once you do that recook of the introduction and purpose. No squatters, no slackers. What changed in this?
Oh, you're gonna want to look at the diff. Remember, it was like overly restrictive, and you wanted me to hack and slash it.
Okay. The act of acquiring privately or commercial property owned for. Okay. The process of redistribution. Okay. The LSMO is authorized to purchase properties from owners for redevelopment and or redistribution. Properties may be acquired through voluntary sales, negotiated buyouts, or legal repossession. Does Article A, Section B, does that cover purchasing through the real estate app?
Article 1, Section B.
Yep.
That one, or Clause B, properties may be acquired through voluntary sales, negotiated buyouts, or legal repossessions. I mean, you could argue, well, I don't think it's much of an argument. It's a voluntary sale if someone lists their property for sale, right? And you buy it off the app.
Let's add something.
Open
else.
market purchases?
Yes.
Easy.
A fair market value assessment must be conducted prior to any purchase, ensuring transparency and due process. I don't know what that means.
You'll determine if the price is fair, basically, right?
Yeah, my concern is that someone's like, well, actually.
Yeah, I've done the math.
Yeah.
I got you. We'll pull it. Easy.
Properties will be resold, leased, or allocated to discretion. Okay. Allocated will be resold, leased, allocated, donated. Put all those words in.
Yeah.
The Los Santos County Mayor's Office will... Is there any other words other ways of transfer?
Let me think on it. I think you're covering everything, but let me think while you keep going through it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I like B. All right. Procedures for purchasing properties through the legislation are at the district and must be fair and transparent.
I say we just take that out.
Yeah,
It's at
exit.
your discretion. Yeah.
Yeah. It's less of a discretion and more like you're scoping something to a unmeasurable because you could be like, well, fair and transparent is that you need, like, that should be inherent in being the mayor, right? Tracking this stuff and having reasons, right? And but when you start putting it into something like this, the concern becomes it becomes subjective, right? The LSMO retains full discretion. What is this? What is clawback?
Clawback means if you give someone something and they say, I'm going to use it for this, or there's some contractual obligation that you decide to set up, if it's found that they're not doing that, you can literally claw back the property into your possession.
Okay.
So the only way that's relevant, Nino, is if you put some condition on giving them the property, right?
Suspected cases of fraudulent property claims or misuse will be referred to the Los Santos Police Department. I think the mayor's office should start, because the problem with enforcement will be referred to from the mayor's office to LSPD. You don't want this to be like, does that make sense? Like someone's like, hey, why did Junior get a grant? Yo, LSPD, go seize it. Does that make sense?
But that
Article 5A.
Right?
Yeah, that is true, actually.
Right.
What I'm saying is what Article 5A.
Yep.
In practice, what is this? Is what we're imagining the practice being properly being conveyed in that sentence?
So the idea of this, right, is, let's say you redistribute a property through this lot. Well, actually, we're doing it as a lottery, though.
See,
I don't know that this is really fully relevant, to be honest.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying, right? The moment we're like, what does this mean? If we're saying, what does this mean, and it's not clear, that means it's going to be read 50 different ways. Fundamentally, I don't even think we need any of this.
No, I agree.
Let's just chop it out. Because if someone's doing something illegal, then fucking there's already mechanisms
for that. Yeah.
And then let's remove this Article 5 bit. I think. Yep. Beautiful. Okay, I think this is good.
I can pull the diff, right? At the top.
It needs the updated date. It needs you as an underwriter. Now, as we're talking through this, what I want y'all to kind of imagine in your mind is that the philosophy of legislative writing in San Andreas has kind of changed over time. And originally it was, we are going to write legislation to cover some situation. As time has gone on, we now have 80 plus pieces of legislation. This has made it administratively cooked. It's hard to know. It's too much. 80 articles, too much. Phase 2, in order to make it easier, is, Michael went through and started creating articles with subsections. Fantastic. The new direction that we're slowly going to start moving towards is to start to have effectively categories of things and putting most of those things into the proper categories. So hopefully that 80 becomes 60, becomes 40, right?
Yeah.
And so as we write new legislation, we don't want to be looking at it like, and this is, I think, the beauty of us chopping some of this out. Like, how do you enforce it? Is you don't want law enforcement to be like, here's how you enforce 80 different ways to resolve 80 different situations in legislation. Rather, like, they already have those investigative tools. Let them be creative about it. right? Like you know what I mean?
That one's good.
Um,
I'm not gonna have time to look at the umbrella one,
okay,
but if
let's
Tony can do the
reattack
live
it then.
version- You want to do that? You don't want Tony to? Your call.
I think we all need to be present for that one,
Yeah.
because as it currently stands right now, it reads like 5 different cooks sitting in a kitchen and making different recipes, in my opinion.
Well, that's exactly what it was, right? We
Yeah,
all kinda
which it
weighed in
was,
on it.
which is
Yeah,
fine,
yeah,
and I think that's why to bring it back into that we need everyone together. I don't think it's at the end of the world because nothing changes whether we pass it today, tomorrow, etc.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah. I would encourage you to look at the diff of the legislative proposal, which is up there. Grab the diff, and if you don't mind going through that one, because that one we do need to get passed, like ASAP.
Okay. I will take a look of that separately because I don't think we need everyone for that one.
Yeah.
Where's the umbrella one?
I haven't dropped it in yet.
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't had time to put it in the MDT, but I can
Okay.
send it to you.
Easy. Tony, do you want to slap it in the MDT so that everyone can kind of look at it?
Which one again? The
Umbrella?
I'll send it. Tony,
yes.
Hold on.
I have the. Are you talking about the one? It's just the one that Grayson was working on, right?
It's
The
on-
criminal code for robbers.
Yeah. So the problem with that one, Tony, is there's like a lot of us put our hands in it, and it's kind of lost a lot of.
It's disjointed. It feels like, right?
Exactly.
Hit setup. I think he's at Rista's thingy. Go check it out. It's gonna be pretty sick. See you later. Okay.
I've sent fresh copies to Sarah and Tony. Nino Junior, I'll send you one too.
Well, I'll be. Is there much point in me having one?
Probably not.
Like.
Well, I would say like I would drop the current copy into here when we can.
As far as the category, this goes under the DOJ document or the Los Santos.
Los Santos.
Yeah.
Quick question. I need to go and support my friend's business opening.
Yeah,
When
absolutely.
would be a good time to go check out my legislation with the Chamber of Commerce?
Okay, this might be a bigger conversation than right now, but after having really thought about it and reading through the legislation, I don't think that this is something I can back. I read through this and I'm going to kind of break it down this way. The issue with this Chamber of Commerce is what we would be doing is effectively creating a new layer of red tape. And right now, businesses are already like very difficult to get up and going. And they need encouragement. They need less roadblocks. The issue with the Chamber of Commerce is it effectively says that in order to get a business passed, you need to now go through this facility in order to have it reviewed, etc. And it also like disempowers that the mayor, whether present or future, to have their own intimate conversations and ideas. Instead, it kind of just becomes a roadblock. Instead, I think that, and we've had an iteration of the Chamber of Commerce, and quite frankly, it just kind of fell over with Eve Summers and company. My recommendation, and the way that, I am significantly more supportive of, is that we have some tools like the business grants today. We also have a procedure by which individuals apply for their businesses through the MDT. We also have, so where I'm going with this is that it is benefits citizens and significantly more if private organizations like the one that you have right now, which is, SecuroServe, functions as we are the experts of how to get your business passed, how to get business grants, etc., etc. That's kind of where I am with things, because it's just this is gonna. I don't think people are gonna like this.
Yeah. When I spoke to Michael, he said, yeah, the legislation should be fine. But I do agree. There's some stuff which just adds that extra layer of like issues, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Should I attempt to redraft this then, if it's like adding all that red tape, or no?
I think the thing to think about is, do you even need this? Because a chamber of commerce, so legislation is meant to be like, legislation is things that are being imposed on offices and citizens and law enforcement, right? They're like, and so the question becomes, does it even need legislation? A chamber of commerce can exist, but and can be fluid. Putting legislation in place isn't needed. You know what I mean?
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, it makes my life a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so for example, like if you wanted, like, let's say like Grayson gets elected, you still have the Chamber of Commerce, right? You can create the Chamber of Commerce. There, you could say like, hey, we're going to review these things. Why put yourself in shackles and say that this needs to happen and this needs to, I mean, think about how we do it, right? Sometimes I call you and you review it, and I'm like, someone gives me a call and there's a grant, so I said, go talk to Junior. He knows how to do that shit. It makes it more fluid. And then if you're not around, or like it's in the evening when you guys are less likely around, I might do it a different way. Why restrict yourself? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, easy. I mean, the whole idea of the legislation is just making sure that, you know, me and everyone that I work with has that future. But as long as Tony and Grayson are both on board with the concept, then I mean,
yeah.
Is there a need for that legislation?
No, I don't think so. And here's the reality, right? If Grayson or Tony wants you, they want you. If they don't want you, they don't want you. You know what I mean? And there's nothing that you can do with legislation to keep that from happening. Because let's say, for example, you piss off Grayson, you can't be like, oh, well, the Chamber of Commerce legislation exists and you can't do anything, because literally he could just be like, snap his fingers and it's gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
this goes back to the conversation we had a number of weeks ago.
Yeah.
You just want to keep your options open. You're better off being flexible, and as Nino said, putting restrictions that are unnecessary on yourself like hinders you in that way.
Yep. And this kind of coincides with why we're going to be pulling a bunch of shit out. Let's call it a legislative mass audit, where there's currently 80 pieces of legislation, and, you know, I'm, along with some others, are going to try to go through the effort of collating a lot of it. Because right now, this is fucking ass. Like, even some of the shit that's being passed, we're going to make some heavy this cannot be followed. Literally, and I'm saying this is going to be, this law office I'm starting is going to literally probably be the only entity that actually knows what the fuck is happening, because it's so convoluted. How do you know what to do when there's 80 pieces of legislation? And probably contradictions. Like, I'll give you an example. There's pharma legislation and licensed pharmacists. This should be one thing. It should all be under like controlled and uncontrolled substances, right? Something like that. Like
yeah, or even like the due process and jurisprudence, the bail guidelines, search and seizure, all of these things could be put into one coherent document.
Yep.
Okay, easy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think this is a good thing, Junior, to be honest.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. And I will say, given the shit that I'm going to be working on, you're not going to be I wouldn't worry. There's only good things to come. I'll
Yeah.
you know.
If it's cool, I'd still really like for you guys to come to we're having sort of the last secure serve meeting with, some of the changes we're going to be making. We're, going to be small and circle and all of that. If you guys could be there, just to, these guys are putting a lot of work with,
Yeah.
hopefully with things going forward. Like, even if it's a case
When
of
is
like,
it?
it's in 50 minutes.
Give me a text. Let me know the location, and I'm gonna do my best to go there.
Easy. Yeah. Like, even if it's just a case of like, just seeing what they've got, because they're a very talented group.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. I gotta go support Rissa's event. If you guys need me, just shoot me a call.
Yep. 100%. All right, brother.
Sounds good.
All right. Appreciate you
care.
guys. Take it easy.
I brought over the umbrella stuff over to the documents or the reports. I formatted a little bit, but of course we still need to do some wordsmithing to make it a little bit more cohesive as a readability thing.
Criminal code robberies. Okay. Umbrella charges are a tool to de-escalate potentially violent matters and ensure the safety of. Further, the umbrella charges reduce administrative burden by. Yeah, this is already talking about as if it's umbrellas. So, I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to look at this right now. How do you guys feel about it?
I think it needs to be chefed up because originally this document was written as an umbrella focused.
Exactly that. This needs to be covering everything about robberies, even though it may not detail everything out, and that can be a clause at the top. Like, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on this when I look at it.
So, to me, right, this, I think, will likely end up being in a continuation during the next term.
I agree.
I think that we have more pressing things that need to be pushed, you know, and we're on the clock over. And it will give us more time to flesh this out and unify it into, well, you know, something that follows a vision.
Agreed. I do think, though, we can get a version 1 out. I think if it makes it very clear that this legislation is going to be covering everything it will act as the criminal code for all robberies in the state of in Los Santos County. And if we put what's missing right now is, yes, it was umbrella before. We just need to put the skeleton of the other pieces. Now, this is not to say we need to cover every robbery subject matter. In fact, we can have in there or baked in, like, anything that is not covered in this, you know, is not covered in this, right? Like a little disclaimer or whatever. But by having the, like, just putting a little bit more, cleaning up the intent of the document from the from the introduction going into the first article, and in that first article talking about, like, why are robberies bad, right? And, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, as if when you look at this, it should be like, imagine we lived on an island where robberies were not illegal. And we were, for the first time, saying robberies are illegal and let's write legislation for it. If we get the bare bones skeletons of that in there, then we can send this and then keep evolving it out. Is that a good way to, does that kind of make sense? Like, let's pretend robberies are not illegal and write it from that lens. And because that's kind of what's happening, right?
I can kind of see your point because a lot of this, I mean, not only how it started, but a lot of our focus is a reaction to what we had in discussion with Turner and everybody.
Exactly.
We're reacting to it rather than establishing it.
Yes. It's because robbery legislation, like legislation on robberies, just fundamentally does not exist. And we want to solve something that's like Yes, exactly that. We're putting in the foundation of robberies are illegal. We want to protect it. People need to be protected from having their institutions, need to be protected from, having their things stolen. Da, 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 da. And then in there, then we can go into, umbrella charges are a great way to da, 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 da. Okay.
Yeah, I do think that a top-down approach where things like umbrella charges, right, are not the focal point, but a substantiated within them, that'll work.
Yes. That way it makes it easier to evolve this document so it doesn't effectively turn into what a lot of other pieces of legislation are, which are just like reactionary things, right?
So we can start fitting other types of robbery like joyriding, grand theft, and it
yeah,
might not need to be
yes.
fleshed out, but it could be there to be at least a foundational piece.
I agree. Yeah, eventually, I'd love to see joyriding and grand theft auto in there. Like, it's going to make things significantly more vibrant. And as like PD investigations go and stuff, like I mean, like, what is grand theft? What does it mean to like lose your vehicle permanently? Like those kind of things being established out and bullet pointed is good.
Right, because there's some officers out there argue if you ocean dump a vehicle off of Great Ocean, that's grand theft, because I mean you're effectively trying to put the car.
I would say it is like,
yeah.
I mean, then again, you could recover it. Yeah, like exactly. Yeah, like
or
those kind of arguments being brought up to court is so boring. Like maybe back like 2 generations ago when Serenade was a judge, like maybe it was still kind of interesting because it was kind of like new and fresh and we didn't really know what it meant. But nowadays it's like, I don't know, they're boring arguments, I think.
Yeah, I mean, based off what I've observed, a lot of arguments that I've seen are less based on evidence
and more on interpretation.
I mean, like last night, part of the defense's argument was essentially interpretation.
Yep.
And a large portion of it was interpretation of
that's why I hate the law right now
versus a character witnesses.
Yes, brother. It's why it's so ass right now. It's subjective feelings based law as opposed to the validity of the evidence. Oh my god.
Like, as long as I don't have to sit there and listen to BCSO argue a wrench is an act of engagement for a gang-related shooting, I think... Yeah. One of the
or what is
lawyers...
engagement, right? Like, it's so...
Oh, man.
Like, technical arguments, don't get me wrong, have a place, right? But when you're arguing on technicality, it's more to portray, like, okay, am I engaging in a gang-related shooting? I don't know. Technical arguments have their place, but we've gone way off the reservoir or reservation with it.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Did you hold someone up because, I looked at you and I'm like, Tony, you better not fucking move. You know what I mean?
Versus.
Right. Like, versus, like, nope, but technically you could have ran away. Like, or did you feel threatened? Like, genuinely, did you actually feel threatened? Is there reasons for that threat to be substantiated, right? Am I a gang member? Right? Do I have a history? Are you aware? You know what I'm saying? There's just, I don't know. That shit's just a lot more, I don't know, engaging, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like the quote unquote technical stuff right now is just rolling around the mud until one of us gives up.
Yeah.
It feels like nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also, I think that while, as you've stated, Nino, the technicalities do have a place. Ultimately speaking, the evidence is what really speaks, right? And it's what gets you to beyond a reasonable doubt. And if that's not the focal point of your case against somebody or in defense of somebody, then, well, maybe you're missing the point.
Yeah, true.
Or the plot was lost somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. You know, another argument for Umbrella, PD spends less time wasting energy on dumb shit. Okay, they shot each other. Good. Congratulations, right? Stop wasting your time. Go spend that energy when the good shit comes by and you can speak to it, not have 90% of your brain rotted from, you know, casings and I don't know. All right. Anything else we want to talk about? I do apologize, Serenade. I know that we had, you know, turns out this conversation needed to be shorter. Just we already recognized, just looking at it, we need to cook a little bit on it.
Yeah, no,
but
that's all right.
Yeah, it's.
I'm hoping to see Grayson at juniors get together or the meeting later, and then probably gonna talk about pushing the voter stuff through.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably gonna be on the to-do list for us. Nino, as far as time frame, as long as everything's
wait. What do you mean by like I've got to send it, don't I? Or
well, I mean like push as in like put in the ready status to be.
oh
for you to push out.
yeah. 100%. Yes.
That is something that, I mean, perhaps I'm not looped in on, but I would personally like to see is the time frame for our high priority stuff. When's our, like, are we setting self deadlines for this?
The deadline for the Redux, no squatters, no slackers, and the voting regulation should be tonight.
Okay.
And that's why Princess has got to look over that voting one and sign it. After Michael does another cook of it, which I think he's going to do tonight. The legislative proposal and approval process, I'm going to review. I'm going to be ready for that Thursday. That should be a Thursday thing. And the criminal robberies, we should aim for Friday this weekend.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll be able to assist Michael if he has any, like, needs somebody to bounce anything off of later.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after he's stewed over the voting rights one.
Love it. Okay. All right, gentlemen. Okay.
Yeah, until we're done with that stuff, Nino, with the legislation stuff, I'll probably save the topic of campaign stuff for like later on in the week.
I think we got it so in the bag. I wouldn't even be that pressed. I am going to be. You need to collate all the Barrett stuff and give it to him ASAP.
I sent him all the stuff I had for Weiss because I added all the links to all the cases that he basically affected. Ultimately, you know, all that stuff.
Does that include all the other things like McNee, like not having voted and the FOIAs around it, all that stuff as well?
McNee's thing, I wasn't the one who did the FOIAs for that.
Was it Michael?
I think so, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Easy.
I didn't
I think what we need to do then is you, me, Barrett, and Michael need to meet up and make sure everything we have is truly in his hands.
Okay. And I've also, I sent them the document with everything I had for Weiss's because his was the most egregious one. Hart just didn't exist. The goose egg speaks for itself. McNee, we didn't focus on that one, so. But yeah.
You know,
Weiss was the big one.
Did you see that McNee and Hart took the Jana Pierce impeachment thing?
I did.
The lack of self-awareness is very apparent.
Yeah, it's odd.
Isn't it also, what do you call it? Conflict of interest because they knew about it. They knew it was going to happen.
Wait, what do you mean?
I thought Jana said that the justices told him, you won't be surprised when you see it. That's what she was told by Falconer.
I'm going to walk away. Listen, they just all need to be shot in the head. It's so metastasized. They've lost all trust, right? You can't gain it back without someone else being put in place. I think that's the reality. You know what I mean? There may be good eggs in there, but you just can't. It's kind of like the pool is so poisoned. Like convincing people that you're filtering it out is just not it. You know what I mean? It's
I can see MacNee not knowing, but Hart, no way in hell.
Yeah.
No way in hell.
Agreed.
Anyways.
All right, gentlemen. Appreciate you. I think that's a good way for me to think about it. It's just like it's without like it's so cooked, the amount of things that have happened over the last couple months, at least for Nino, and I think for a lot of people, it was like such a good thing squandered so heavily, brazenly, etc. That I don't know if like people are gonna ever bring their trust back without it. Like McNee could be the best thing ever, and I do have some semblance of like, hey, this guy's probably pretty decent, but the problem is that
Hello, Nino.
what's going on, Matt? Why are you driving with a BCSO livery?
So the